Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. Vice President Kashim Shettima to visit Kaduna today following Sunday's airstrikes which claimed the lives of at least 85 people. A member of the Northern Elders Forum, Professor Usman Yusuf, asked federal governments to constitute an independent panel of inquiry to investigate the bombing in Kaduna State. Plus, House Committee on Public Petitions issues warrant of arrest to Central Bank Governor, Accountant General of the Federation, and 17 others for failing to appear before it. A warm welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos, and we begin with the bombing mishap that occurred in Kaduna over the weekend. The Vice President, Senator Kashim Shettima, is expected in Kaduna State today. During his trip, he's expected will visit the victims of Sunday's bomb attack at Tundu Biri village. They're talking about the bombing mishap there in Igabi local government area of the state, and also a hospital, Barao Diko Teaching Hospital in the state capital, where some 70 injured survivors are recuperating. On his arrival, he's expected to be received by the Kaduna State Governor, Senator Obasani, and other top government officials. Now, this visit is coming hours after the visit by the Minister of Defense, Bello Matawalle, the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. They visited victims of Sunday's accidental bombing in the Igabi area of Kaduna State. Bring you an update as soon as we get more from Igabi and Kaduna State. Well, following the deadly military airstrike at Tundu Biri village, an operation which left in its wake 85 deaths, families of the victims have been giving assurance that their plight is acknowledged at the highest level of defense leadership. And this is coming from the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, and the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawalle, who were there visiting the injured at the hospital in Kaduna. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja, who was also part of that delegation, described the airstrikes conducted by the Army as regrettable and unintended. While empathizing with those receiving medical attention, they promised to support those injured while a proper investigation has been launched into the sad incident.
Sunday, December the 3rd, is a day residents of Tundu Biri community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State will never forget. On that day, the joyful gathering for the Maulud celebration to mark the birth of Prophet Muhammad turned awry, as no fewer than 80 residents of the community were mistakenly killed and 70 others injured in an air bombardment carried out by the army drone that was on a routine mission against terrorists and bandits in the area. Among the most affected are women and children who are still at the emergency unit of Barao Diko Teaching Hospital in the Angwa Rimi area of Kaduna Metropolis. One of them was said to have died on Tuesday morning.
So the aeroplane has through the bomb 2 times. The first one have killed many people, and we just go around, we just pass away, and within few time we come back. We are trying to gather our people, those who are looking for the first aid, and then the aeroplane come back again and throw the bomb again.
We have a total of 71 patients that we brought here. Of these 71, one died last night. So we have about 70 currently with us on admission.
The Nigerian army has accepted responsibility for the attack at Tundu Biri village, and the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja, is at the Barao Diko Hospital to commiserate with the victims. he also visits the community where the incident occurred. The army chief, who made a 10 million naira donation to the victims, describes the incident as unintended and unfortunate, assuring that such mistake will never occur again.
I've gone around to visit and interact with the members of the community. I've come again now to the hospital to see the injured. And this will help me to know the level of expertise that I need to put on the table in conducting the inquiry into what happened on Sunday, so that that inquiry can come up with relevant recommendations that will guide us in the conduct of our operations going forward.
The Minister of State for Defense, Bello Matawali, also visited the hospital to commiserate with the survivors of the attack. He says the setback will not in any way dampen the morale of security forces in the ongoing war against bandits and terrorists.
Come to this hospital to visit the victims of this unfortunate incident that happens of bombing at Tudunbiri in the local government of Kaduna State, which we have assessed some of the victims, we have seen them, and the ministry will take care and charge of all the bills of these victims. And arrangement is going to be made to make sure that these incidents will never occur again, inshallah.
Meanwhile, the Kaduna State Government delegation, led by the Deputy Governor, Dr. Adizat Balarabe, also visited the community, and some residents shared their experience on what transpired and what they want the government to do for them.
The malam that was supposed to lead the prayers has not arrived, and I was eating in my house. Since the prayer ground is in front of my house, suddenly we heard a loud sound, and my wife asked me what was that sound. Immediately, my neighbor's son was brought in with his legs cut off. We rushed out to find so many corpses on the floor, some dead, some injured. I asked, when would they have their Maulud prayers? And they said, on Sunday. I decided to come join them while I was eating 5 minutes to the stipulated time. The bomb landed at the exact spot. When it happened, you would think that insecticide was used on some unwanted insects. Mostly children and women were killed. Within 15 minutes, the second bomb exploded, this time killing elders and older men.
After that, the Deputy Governor and our entourage were around the site where the victims of the airstrike were buried. Prayers were offered for the repose of their souls, just as the state government promised to support the survivors.
Continue to douse tension instead of coming here to come and create some kind of tension. We're appealing to everybody that is here to find a way, to talk to, especially the youth, because they're usually the ones that are being used by people who are outside of this community to cause confusion.
While the Nigerian army has accepted responsibility for the aerial attack and the government promising to support the survivors, it's however hoped that the military authorities will go back to the drawing board and review its operational strategies and ensure that its personnel are adequately trained to operate with optimal precision in order to mitigate cases of collateral damage during such operations.
Meanwhile, public affairs analyst, member of the Northern Elders Forum, Professor Usman Yusuf, has asked for a thorough investigation into the military bombing in Kaduna, while he insists on an independent investigation away from the military, saying the military cannot investigate itself to unravel the facts of the case. He's also demanded the resignation of the army top brass. He spoke on our political program, Politics Today.
The military cannot investigate itself. because it has not investigated itself in all the massacres it has conducted over the air.
If you are to advise, or if you are to say the kind of and the manner in which the investigation should go or take, what would you do?
Independent of the military. All the bombs they've dropped on people over the last, in all the 5 states they did, what came of it in their investigation? I am calling on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to institute a high-powered, independent investigative committee headed by a retired Chief Justice of the Federation. And in that committee, there should be a retired Chief of Service Chief, and an emir, traditional clerics, and CSOs to protect civilians. The military is supposed to protect us, not be killing us. And let me say this only vindicates the concern international community has been having about Nigerian army. You remember during the time of Jonathan, they stopped selling weapons, lethal weapons, to the Nigerian armed forces because of this. And we are seeing this. The world is watching. You are dropping bombs on innocent women and children, going on a religious procession. The military is threading on very, very thin ice. Very, very thin ice. This is, religion comes into this, we are dousing. Traditional rulers, clerics are now talking to people. This is a religious procession. Can Nigerians understand what would have happened if a Christian procession in Plateau or Kaduna was bombed? Big churches from the south specifically would have raised their voices all over Nigeria today. We need to be very, very careful. The military should know better. You become a general to think better than a captain. This is irresponsible.
We'll move on to other stories now. The Ondo State government has described as baseless the claim by a senior advocate of Nigeria, Kayode Ajulo, that the signature of ailing Governor Rotimi Akeredolu was being forged by some officials. The Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice of the State, Mr. Charles Titiloye, described the allegation as baseless and mischievous. The lawyer, who appeared on another television program on Monday, had said he had on good authority as a lawyer some of the commissioners, about 5 of them, sent memos to the governor, and they all returned with approval. Similarly, the State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Mrs. Bamidele Ademola Olateju, also denied the allegation, describing it as mischievous. She insists that the signature of the governor was not forged. Well, the Ondo State Commissioner for Information joins us now here in our Lagos studio. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Can you confirm the word out there, the signing of documents, monies being released to government officials without proper authorization?
You see, these allegations are preposterous. Forgery is a serious offense. It's a high criminal offense. Why people bandy these allegations about is concerning. I think people who make allegations should be able to substantiate them and situate them properly. I insist, the governor's signature is not forged. Why? It's only the governor or a handwriting expert, a forensic expert, that can say, this is not the governor's signature. The governor has come out to say it is his signature. If you see the signature being circulated on social media, you will see there are 2 signatures side by side with everything else except the signature obscured. Does that make any sense? We want to know. Show us the old document that you claim is original. Then show us the new document that you claim is forged. When you do that, let us see who sent the document in, from what ministry or agency was the document sent in, and was any money approved by that signature? If any money was approved by that signature, who collected this? Who collected the money? Are they telling us that the Commissioner for Finance does not know the governor's signature? Are they saying the Accountant General of the state does not know the governor's signature? It's just preposterous to bandy these allegations around in order to burn the state down. It's not right.
Is the governor able to sign his signature?
it is just ludicrous. The governor has his affective, psychomotor, and cognitive skills intact. The governor is not incapacitated. The governor can move his hand, move his legs, move all parts of his body. He's not senile. He's able. Why are they doing this? I don't know. They are saying it as if the governor has lost the use of his hands, has lost his senses, and cannot do anything. It is wrong.
We still have the Ondo State Commissioner for Information here in our studios. We'll take a quick break and be back. Stay with us. You're watching Lunchtime Politics. Welcome back. We've been talking to the Ondo State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Mrs. Bamidele Ademola Olateju, with all of the happenings in the state. Thanks for your patience again. Talk to us about the state of health of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. A number of people are worried. How is he?
The governor is still recuperating. You can, the nature of his illness is such that he needs time to heal. That's all I'm willing to say at this point.
So it's not made public exactly what, illness he has.
Yes, I understand that. And I'm very careful. Those of us who work with Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, SCNCON, understand that at this very critical time, we don't need to weaponize a personal condition. Talking about this and that is like people have lack empathy and compassion. Where has that gone? Yes, the people of Ondo State deserve to know things about their governor. He has come out to say he's not feeling good. He said it at several fora last year that I'm not okay. I'm trying to do my best to recover. And when he was leaving for Germany, he did say he was leaving for Germany. He came back. He spoke to his executive council, the House of Assembly, the party hierarchy, as well as some women groups and traditional rulers. So everybody knows that the governor is not at the peak of his health, that he's taking his time to recuperate.
But some people would perhaps read this as saying you're stalling. I mean, don't you think that if people know exactly what he's going through, what the challenges, what the illness is, there'll be more empathy from his people?
Honestly, the people of Ondo State, and indeed, Nigerians have been very gracious, very nice to the governor. It's just people who are unduly ambitious or people who just have political axe to grind that are creating all these problems. People were praying for him when he went to Germany openly. People were organizing prayer sessions. Nigerians and indeed the people of the Sunshine State have been very good to Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, wishing him well, praying for him to get back to his seat.
You talked about people with, political axe to grind. Does that include the deputy governor?
I'm not here to mention names. I don't know what is in his mind, but I do know that political actors are fanning the embers of disunity in my state, and that is unfortunate.
But there also is a provision in the Constitution that talks about when the governor is of unsound mind, he will be expected to resign. That's also a legal provision. And so, yes. Some might argue that the fact that you're not putting the illness out there, all of this is hush-hush. It means that, the governor perhaps wants to still sit tight on power, and this is orchestrated by a few.
When Governor Rotimi Akeredolu was coming back to Nigeria, he was on the airplane. We saw video of him toying with his phone, sending messages. The governor has called me less than 2 weeks ago. The governor is of sound mind. The governor is not senile. He has his faculties intact.
So if the people of Ondo State were to ask, Christmas is coming, when will they see their governor? When will he speak to them? When would that be?
Well, the governor has not spoken to me about that, so I cannot say for sure when he will speak to the people of Ondo State. But I presume as soon as he's able to speak to them, he will.
Just last week, you disclosed the president's intervention in the political crisis in the state. You talked about, a clear indication that the president means well. So how is that going since that intervention?
Well, I want to thank the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. His intervention was just extraordinary and Solomonic. He made sure it's a win-win situation for the parties that went to see him. What he did, the political intervention of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu was just spectacular. He made sure that nothing touches the party, nothing touches the Executive Council and the leadership of the House of Assembly, and he called for peace. He asked everyone present, are you willing to give peace a chance? Everybody answered in the affirmation. So I am surprised that up till now, supporters, followers of the political actors are just, they have stayed their grounds and they are not moving and they are not ready to embrace the peace they brokered by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
And when you say political actors, who are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about people who felt the deputy governor should be acting at this time. Those are mainly the people. And, well, opposition parties, especially the People's Democratic Party, latching onto the crisis to foment trouble.
So is it impossible, you know, for the deputy governor to be governor, considering the circumstances? And no one is praying for the illness to become worse, but should that happen?
Well, nobody is praying for the illness to get worse. The governor is performing his duties. He's signing documents. What the governor is not doing at this point, can I tell you, is that he's not taking courtesy visits. Like if we were to be in Akure, for example, he's not attending weddings, naming ceremonies, funerals, graduations. That is what is missing. But the real act of governance is taking place. Governance is not circus. Governance is serious business. I don't know why people are trying to think governance is a joke.
Perhaps I should ask now, how is his family handling all of this?
Well, you might have to ask them, but I think they have tried to be stoic about this. Yes.
So governance now under Mr. Aiyedatiwa, Deputy Governor, what's that like?
Well, the governor is the governor. Mr. Aiyedatiwa is the Deputy Governor. He has come back to the state. We had a state executive council meeting last Thursday. So I hope we continue to heal and we continue to embrace peace in the interest of the people of the Sunshine State, Ondo State.
And we do wish the governor the very best of good health.
Thank you.
From all of us here. I'd like to thank you, Ondo State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Mrs. Bamidele Ademola Olataju. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
We'll move on to other stories. As part of efforts to boost trade, tourism and economic relations with the oil-rich state of Kuwait, Nigeria has signed a bilateral air services agreement, BASA, with the state of Kuwait. The two countries signed the legal instrument of BASA for the commencement of direct flight, passenger and cargo at the ongoing International Civil Aviation Negotiation event of the International Civil Aviation Organization holding in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The signing of the BASA on behalf of Nigeria, the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, explained that the agreement would enhance the desired economic ties and cooperation between the two countries. Mr. Keyamo also held bilateral talks with respect to the commencement of flight operations for passengers and cargo between Nigeria and Iran with the aeronautical authorities of the Islamic Republic of Iran, led by the President of Iran Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Mohammadi Bakish. And the House of Representatives Committee on Public Petition has issued a warrant of arrest on the Central Bank Governor, Mr. Olayemi Cardoso, the Accountant General of the Federation, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Madei, and 17 others for refusing to appear before it to answer questions on their operations. This followed the adoption of a motion by Representative Fred Agbedi at the committee's hearing yesterday. Moving the motion, Honorable Agbedi said that the arrest warrant had become inevitable following the attitude of invitees. He said the parliament worked with time and the CEOs had been invited 4 times but failed to respond. He also said that the CEOs should be brought to appear before the committee by the Inspector General of Police through a warrant of arrest after due diligence by the Speaker, Honorable Tajuddin Abbas. In his ruling, the chairman of the committee, Representative Michael Irom, said the IGP should ensure the CEOs were brought before the committee at, this is on December the 14th, 2023. And that's our show at this time. Thank you for watching. I'm Millicent Walker. Bye for now.